One bomb in the desert, one night. By morning, gas prices double an ocean away. How does a single strike reach your kitchen? Stick around. Welcome to Curious Monkey.
Picture it, and remember, this is only a thought experiment. A U.S. strike hits Iran's nuclear sites. Analysts call this Washington's first real war against Iran, building on June 2025, when Israel bombed those same facilities with American help. The button gets pushed. Now what?
The night it starts. To see where this all leads, you have to follow the very first hour.
Iran's whole strategy rests on three words: survival, security, stability. So a direct hit on its homeland isn't a wound it can absorb. It's an existential threat. Analysts think Tehran wouldn't fight symmetrically. It leans on asymmetric tactics, proxies, and increasingly, AI as a force multiplier. The response, most likely, comes sideways.
And Iran isn't empty-handed. It fields a long-range ballistic missile arsenal, a core pillar of its military. Imagine those trajectories arcing out across the region in the first hours, toward bases, toward shipping lanes. And here's the strange part. Iran and Israel share no border, no sea between them. Yet in 2025, they fought a 12-day war anyway.
But here's where it gets unnerving. In 2025, that war stayed weirdly boxed in. Syria, Jordan, and Iraq officially sat it out, untouched. A full nuclear strike, though? Most analysts doubt it stays contained. One blast, and suddenly every capital's phone rings at once. Allies, rivals, the whole board lighting up.
Who backs America? The moment the strike lands, the first question is simple. Who picks up the phone, and who doesn't?
In this scenario, a familiar bloc lines up behind Washington. The NATO Corps, Britain, France, Germany, Poland, the Baltics, bound by a treaty where an attack on one is an attack on all. Israel, already fighting. And further out, the democracies under America's security umbrella, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Canada. Why them?
Each has sheltered for decades under the American nuclear guarantee. That promise is the glue. But backing America and wanting this war aren't the same thing. Watch that gap.
Now here's something that should make you pause. America keeps nuclear weapons stationed in Europe, on Allied soil. You'd assume those allies get a real vote before they're ever used. But researchers point to an uncomfortable truth. In practice, NATO partners have little power to veto a unilateral American decision. The consensus is mostly on paper.
So in this scenario, some of Washington's closest friends could be pulled toward the brink, without ever truly choosing to be.
Who backs Iran? Across the board, a very different set of players begins to stir.
On the other side of the board, a different alignment stirs. Russia, China, and Iran have spent years quietly drifting closer. You could see it in Syria, where their interests overlapped. China anchors a sprawling security bloc stretching across Central Asia.
But analysts don't expect Beijing to send troops. Its posture most likely stays calculated and cautious. Leverage, not soldiers. Russia plays the spoiler. North Korea lurks at the edges, and Iran's web of proxies springs awake. None of them need to march to make this far more dangerous.
And then, there's a wild card nobody fully controls. Next door sits Pakistan. Roughly 60 nuclear warheads, built with technology China reportedly helped supply. Here's the eerie detail. Pakistan is said to store its warheads unassembled, the nuclear core kept separate from the explosives and the missiles.
A safety measure, yes. But in a regional firestorm, imagine the scramble to put them together. Pakistan's arsenal points at India, not Iran. Yet once the dominoes start tipping, who's truly watching which way they fall?
The fence sitters. Because some nations would do almost anything to avoid choosing a side at all.
Now meet the ones who desperately don't want to choose. India, huge, rising, tied to everyone, would most likely try to stay out. The Gulf states are trapped in the worst seat in the House. Saudi Arabia and the UAE sit right beside Iran, hosting American bases, with everything to lose if missiles fly over the water.
Turkey is the strangest case. A NATO member geographically wedged against the conflict, pulled two directions at once. And much of the global south, watching, hedging, refusing to pick a side in someone else's war. Neutrality sounds safe. In this scenario, it might be impossible.
And now we reach the pressure point the whole world forgets until it's too late. Look at Iran's coastline, and your eye lands on a narrow sliver of water, the Strait of Hormuz. It's barely a gap. Tankers thread through it single file day and night. In this scenario, Iran's simplest, most devastating move isn't a missile at all.
It's a threat to close that strait. No grand army, just a chokehold on a waterway, and the entire planet feels the squeeze. Here's why that matters more than almost anything else.
Through that single thin channel flows nearly 1/5 of all the world's oil. 1/5. Through a gap you could cross in a small boat. And it gets stranger. Roughly 2/3 of the planet's petroleum moves by sea, funneled through a handful of narrow choke points just like this. We treat oil as invisible, always there, until it isn't.
The last real scare was the 1973 energy crisis. Close Hormuz, and analysts warned the shock wouldn't stay regional. It cascades, markets, prices, supply chains, straight to your door.
How bad it gets. Here's where we climb the ladder, one rung at a time toward the edge.
So how bad could it actually get? Picture it as a ladder, each rung harder to climb back down. Rung 1, a regional war. Iran, Israel, American bases, proxies trading blows. Rung 2, the great powers stop watching and start acting.
Russia and China can't let Iran simply collapse, so the pressure climbs sideways. Economic, cyber, maybe proxy clashes far from the Gulf. Rung 3 is the one nobody wants to name. A confrontation between nuclear-armed states, where a single misread radar blip could tip everything.
And that's the terror of it. Most analysts agree no one plans to climb that high. They just take one reasonable step, then another, until suddenly, there's no rung left below them.
And here's the part that reaches every single person on Earth, even those a hemisphere away. Scientists who model nuclear war describe something chilling. Enough soot hurled into the upper atmosphere to dim the sun, cool the planet, and choke global agriculture for years. They've now run the numbers across 6 different war scenarios and found the damage doesn't stop on land. The cold and the darkness would reach down into the oceans, gutting the wild fisheries that feed billions with protein. Think about that.
A strike in one desert, and a fisherman on the far side of the world hauls up empty nets. We may never know the true scale unless it happens. And that uncertainty is exactly the point.
Step back, and the human picture comes into focus. And it's almost too big to hold. A conflict health study put it bluntly. A nuclear exchange in this region would bring lethality, in their words, beyond the pale. Not just the blast. The fallout drifts on the wind, crossing borders that mean nothing to a radioactive cloud. Ecosystems buckle.
Species vanish. And the strangest cruelty? The countries that never fired a shot, the fence-sitters, the neutrals, the ones a world away, could inherit the cold skies and the failed harvests all the same. There's no neutral ground under a darkened sun. Nobody escapes their own geography.
The 1983 warning. Before we close, history has one true story that should genuinely unsettle you.
So let me leave you with a true story, because the scariest part of all this isn't imaginary. Rewind to 1983. NATO ran a routine war game called Able Archer. It was just an exercise. Practice, nothing real. But Soviet leaders, jumpy and certain an attack was coming, misread it as the genuine thing.
For a few breathless days, the world drifted closer to nuclear war than almost anyone alive realized, over a misunderstanding. No strike, no trigger, just fear, reading fear. And that's the quiet warning underneath this whole thought experiment. The machinery doesn't need a villain.
It just needs two frightened sides, a flickering radar, and a single moment where nobody blinks. We may never know how many times we've already come this close.
So, one strike and the shockwave circles the whole planet. Sobering, isn't it? This was a thought experiment, not a prediction. A way to see how connected and how fragile our world really is. If it made you think, stick with Curious Monkey. We've got more big questions to chase.